Great. Okay.
So our My Little Pony credentials.
What is this?
This is, you skipped.
Oh, I did.
So,
Skip past
so we
it.
have yours, which is you were playing since 2012, which is true. She has never lost a game.
That is
also
not true.
She has developed a concerning attachment to a white lion man shaped like Tony the Tiger,
Shut up.
and pulls a mythic prayer in every booster pack.
That is
I
not
did
true.
nothing.
I just get swords. That's all.
Yes, all of the sorts.
Okay. So.
So, our My Little Pony credentials. I've been in it at least since the initial wave that took the internet.
The very
Possibly
first.
rarely, one time, there are no pictures, don't ask. Got the baddest mare around and then absconded.
Oh my God.
Attended horse riding camp and Trixie's best pony.
Okay, so I do vend at different pony conventions. I've been around since season 1. I saw it on Live Journal of all places. All the memes, and I'm like, what is this show? Why is everyone making memes about it? Went to go watch it, and then the rest is history. You just keep watching. I've never seen a real horse. What are horses? I don't know. Twilight is best pony. Okay. Why did I let you write this?
So, in overview, what we'll be going over today. Initial greetings, us, Magic Gathering, what's that? Horses, what are those? How to play, really that's going to be most of it. Ponies within the legal limit, and then ponies beyond the legal limit, and then we'll open the floor to questions.
And also feel free to ask questions at any point during
Yes,
the
if you want to raise your hand or just interrupt loudly, I really don't mind.
Okay.
So, first off, Magic the Gathering. Collectible trading card game, first released in 1993. It was developed by Richard Garfield, produced by Wizards of the Coast, currently the most popular trading card game amongst the top 3, which I think is Yu-Gi-Oh! And
Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it has multiple formats, which is find how you play using the same cards, and the premier item sold from department stores.
It's true.
And Commander, which is what we'll be focusing on today after initial Magic, is just a format of Magic the Gathering, also called Elder Dragon Highlander. I don't know the history of why. Focuses on building a deck around one unique card of your choice, legendary creatures specifically.
Which is sad, because I want to make a Lumberknot deck.
Yes, I know. A great way to utilize normally non-competitive cards in a sort of casual kitchen style table play. And even better way to drag your friends into long-winded arguments over rules.
It's really fun. It's really fun when someone gets out the phone and starts Googling away.
Well, you know it's on when people start pulling up the rules.
You're like, wait, what are you doing?
So Secret Lair, specifically, is owned currently by Wizards of the Coast. Sells limited time, unique cards off of a specific artist contributing or crossovers of intellectual property. They made some Tony cards. You might have them. They're pretty neat.
Look at them. They're so
Yes, we have
beautiful.
some lovely examples on borrow.
Yeah.
No.
All pony cards are up there on the table. If you haven't seen them, feel free to go up and look
Yes.
at them.
Yes,
They are
absolutely.
beautiful cards.
We absolutely invite everybody to come and see them either during or after presentation. If you want one, you can fight them. He's in the corner.
No
But,
fighting.
yes.
Only magic fights.
My Little Pony.
Oh God, why this picture?
I really hope you know this.
I made that for the last BronyCon. Why did I make that? I don't
It
know.
was one of your first ones.
It was one of my first ones. That's
How did you even find out about this panel? No, it's fine. Really, welcome. It's just kind of weird. Not that you're weird, but weird that you'd be at our panel. Forget it, welcome. Seriously. So you want to play Magic the Gathering?
Are you alright?
Yes. I hope you say yes. It's good you have a deck of cards. Who here has a deck of cards already? Excellent.
Excellent,
Wonderful.
excellent.
This horse does not. You're going to need one of those. I'm sorry.
He has no horn and no hands.
No, he's a little dirt horse. I'll have one to supply for you figuratively. And we'll be here to teach you how today. But only, we're kind of busy, maybe not.
Come on, little horse. All right, fine, crying dirt horse. We're gonna teach you how to play. It's okay. All right.
Okay. This is the part where we explain how to kill your friends. So, how not to lose. The main way to win in Magic the Gathering is to not lose. If your life goal becomes 0, you lose. If you must draw a card from an empty deck, you lose. And if you surrender, you lose. So if everyone else is lost, you win.
Yeah. And when, with the drawing thing, that just means if you go to draw a card and you can't, you lose.
Yes.
The cards.
Cards, one or more, you'll need them.
Yeah.
So, the anatomy of the card. First, we're
We
gonna
have
examine
Ugly
our
Dirt Horse.
Ugly Dirt Horse.
His name, Ugly Dirt Horse.
He has a cost in the top right, indicated by both symbols and perhaps a number.
Yeah, the number means you can pay it with any type of mana, but the symbol means it only can be that type of mana.
Yes, there are specific colors involved.
Yeah.
So we have a type, the Ugly Dirt Horse is a creature of low standing. Subtype is a pony, which is a creature. And it has a set symbol, depending on where it came from, when it was printed. It has some text to say that the Dirt Horse not only doesn't do very much, it comes into play doing even less. And finally, it has power and toughness, which indicates how hard it hits and how much it can take. So it could punch itself to death. Just a careful examination of Dirt Horse capabilities. The colors. So in Magic, there are 5 colors.
Wubrk.
Yes, usually people refer to it as Wubrg, W-U-B-R-G. And any card can be 0 or more colors.
What's the U?
It's blue because there's also black.
Oh.
And they couldn't just say BB, it would be BL, BLE.
I'm learning.
So first off is white, which is usually representative of some kind of peace, law, structure, selflessness, or equality. And these are actually the sort of mottos behind each color pulled from their website. Blue being knowledge, deceit specifically. Caution, deliberation, perfection. Black, power, self-interest, death, sacrifice. Uninhibitedness, red, freedom of motion, action, impulse, destruction, and green. Nature, wildlife, connection, spiritual tradition. When you're looking at these cards, each one will have one or more, usually one or more of these colors, and what it does and how it is depicted will tie into these themes. The cards can be colorless, they can be multicolored, and their identity is whatever symbols are on the card. If they have no symbols, then they are colorless.
The board.
The board.
There's the
So
board.
here's an example of what the board looks like. You have, here's the other item.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Also,
So,
when you're playing with someone else, you might want to play that, like these lovely pony play mats down here.
it will be roughly this size.
Yeah, that's about how big your board is.
Yes, so you have really 3 key zones. Your library, which is your deck of cards, your graveyard, which is all the dead unusual dirt horses, and your play area, which is where you play cards.
And then your opponent has the same thing.
Mhm.
If you play with multiple people, they each have their own same thing.
Yep. So in Magic, there are specific card types, and this kind of determines how to play. Permanents. So the card types are really split up between permanents, non-permanents. A permanent is something like an Ugly Dirt Horse creature. So when you play it, it remains in play after you cast it. These are mostly commonly creatures, artifacts, enchantments, things like that that would stick around. All cards enter Summoning Sync, the turn that they enter. If a creature is Summoning Sync, it can't attack or use the activated abilities, but this only applies to creatures. So artifacts, enchantments, if they have them, they can use them. And when they're destroyed, any of these, they go to the graveyard.
What's an activated ability?
We're not there yet. So, non-permanents. So, non-permanents go to the graveyard directly after their play. They do not stick around. They usually have they're usually instants or sorceries, and once their effects are resolved, they go directly to the graveyard. How do you play a card? So, to play a card, you pay its cost. The mana cost on the top right for Ugly Dirt Horse is 1 white symbol and 1 colorless. So if you want to play it, you need to somehow produce those. Usually this is done through tapping lands, which you'll also have in your deck. Once you pay its cost, you put that card on the stack. Then you pass priority to the player on your left. Once everybody has cast a spell or activated an ability, or they can whenever they have priority, they can either cast a spell, activate an ability, or just pass it along. Once it gets back to you, you remove your card from the stack and place it in your play area, or graveyard. It's not permanent. So what's the stack? I'm glad you asked.
I didn't
Well, now you do. It's kind of fun. So, the stack is the easiest and also most complicated way to explain how cards are played in Magic. Specifically, whenever you play a card, you just place it on the table. It's some weird temporary space where all unresolved spells and abilities live. You place it on the stack. After placing it on the stack, you press priority, and then everybody else gets a turn to either put something else on the stack or pass it along. And then once everybody has decided whether or not they want to do something, you start taking cards off the top, resolving them one at a time. So, for example,
It's a nice little temporary way to think about like if people responding to your card before you play it down. So like if you go to play a card and someone goes, nope, instantly, then that all gets resolved and you get to play it. It's just a way to help you visualize when you're playing.
yes. And don't only complicate this further, spells cannot be cast while something is on the stack. Unless. So, for example, we have our horse Pepto-Bismol. So, things that are instants, have flash, or are abilities. Instants can be placed on stack any time you have priority. Permanents with flash can also be placed on stack with priority. And abilities can be put on stack with priority. So, for example, the horse Pepto has an activated ability to give something hexproof, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, they're activated by placed on the stack, and then according to a condition being told. There's also, abilities can also come on the stack. Triggered abilities are activated and placed on the stack according to a condition. Activated, like our horse Pepto, at a cost. So we have an example. Let's say I have an ugly dirt horse in play. My opponent hates my ugly dirt horse and wishes to express his inherent horsism, paying 3 mana to cast Tummy Ache, targeting my ugly dirt horse, which will destroy a target creature. The ugly dirt horse is a creature, so it will be destroyed. However, I came prepared to deal with horse-based bigotry and have horse Pepto in play. I activate its ability, paying the cost, which is sacrificing the horse Pepto and placing it in the graveyard, to give my ugly dirt horse hexproof. This means it cannot be targeted by my opponents. So, my opponent wails, he's out of resources and has been thwarted. I pass priority, and he's forced to submit, passing priority as well. Horse Pepto, on the top of the stack, resolves first. Tummy Ache attempts to resolve, but the ugly dirt horse is no longer a valid target. It has hexproof. Tummy Ache fizzles and is placed in the graveyard. And thus, ugly dirt horse lives to see a new day.
Yay. We love ugly dirt horse, okay.
So next, okay. I swear we're almost there.
You're doing great.
Thank you for being here.
The turn.
So, the turn. Each turn is broken out into 6 phases. You untap. Anything that is currently tapped becomes untapped. You have an upkeep. Many cards will say at the beginning of your upkeep, you resolve those. You draw 1 card. And then you have your main phase, which is where the magic happens. You play a card, or as many as you want, as long as you can pay for it. You can play a land. Only 1, but it's free. And then we go to combat. We're gonna keep it simple.
No, we're not.
Because I'm tired. So in combat, after your first main phase, once you're done playing any cards you want to play, playing any lands you want to play, people can interject. You go to your attack step and you select any of your little opponent creatures you wish to attack with. You declare who they're attacking, you attack them, and now they're considered to be attacking. Then you go to the blocker step. People can interject here as well. Your opponent can block your attacking creatures with their own. So they select one of their creatures one at a time and assign it as a blocker. Multiple creatures can block the same creature, and blocking creatures don't have to attack. Combat tricks. So the reason I emphasize that there are points where people can interject, it's that when you attack with your ugly dirt horse, you may have a card in your hand and say, I will make my ugly dirt horse even dirtier, but I'm gonna wait and see if they block my ugly dirt horse or not, so I don't waste my time. Because you don't want them to be blocked and then like, oh, now just everybody's dirty. You want them to be destroyed by its dirtiness. So these are your opportunities. So after all the attackers and blockers are determined, you find damage. Creatures all have power and toughness at the bottom of their right of their card. Attackers and blockers, they deal all their damage at the same time. If damage meets or exceeds a creature's toughness, they are destroyed. And then damage does not stick around. I know there's other games like Hearthstone and whatnot where the games would build up over time, but no. And any unblocked damage is dealt directly to your opponent's life. So after combat, there's another main phase. We're back. If you forgot to do something, or you wanted to wait until after combat, the same as main phase 1. You played the land earlier, can't do it again. And then the end step, because I lied, there's actually 7 phases. At the end step, you clean up any damage, anything that's end of turn happens. And then, really, if you understand that much, congratulations. You're a real wizard. You know the majority of magic.
Yay.
But there's more, because we're going to talk about Commander. Commander, or Elder Dragon Highlander.
It's a tongue twister.
Yes. I think that's why they changed it.
It's isn't that like an unofficial name anyway?
Well, it started as an unofficial
Yeah.
game title, just built by the fans, and then was ultimately recognized and then monetized by Wizards of the Coast. So now you can pay massive amounts of money to buy it.
It's a multiplayer format for 3 or more players. You can play with 2, but it's not fun. You will end up just arguing and hating the other person because
Some people find that fun.
some people
I
do
don't
find that
judge them,
fun. But a lot of times it's better to have 3 or more just because the way it works is just so different.
Mhm. So, specifically for this type, you have a starting life of 40, starting hand of 7 cards, and a commander. So, the commander is a legendary creature you choose to be the head commander of your deck. It lives in a special zone specific to this, the command zone. You can cast it from you as if it were there, as if it were in your hand, but every time you do, it costs 2 more afterwards. So, if you keep playing your dirt horse and then keep getting killed, it gets more expensive. Whenever it moves between zones, you can put it back to the command zone. So if somebody would destroy the dog dirt horse, you couldn't save it, it goes to the graveyard. You can actually say, oh, he'll go back to the command zone to take a shower. So if he dies, it's returned to your hand, exiled, etc., and you can just go to the command zone. When you build a commander deck, and you can buy pre-constructed ones, all the pre-constructed ones work just fine. There must be 100 cards in this deck, including your commander. The commander can be any legendary creature, which will be in its card type. And every card must be unique. It must be one of each, unless it's basic lands. So why should you play commander? And why should you come play commander with us at some point during the convention if you catch us? Possibly by then. Legendary creatures are cool. They all usually have unique and special abilities that make them kind of fun to play around and build decks around.
It's true.
You have 100 unique cards, which allows for more obscure mechanics to shine. If you have that, if you really want to make abandon work, Commander is the place to do it. It's not hyper competitive, though it can be. And usually very casual, easy to walk up, find a game at your local game store or convention, sort of kitchen table style. Invite your friends over for a night of screaming at each other. It's great.
It's also less boring because, like, with 60 cards, there's such a strategy to every deck. For Commander, it's kind of like a different game every time, so it doesn't get old.
Yes. And it's just fun to build and play thematic decks. So, the actual thing you probably came here for, talk about some ponies.
Ponies.
Yes. So, which is also weirdly enough one of the shortest sections for us. So
Ponies the Galloping.
Yes, Ponies the Galloping. Released by Secret Lair, originally
The original first 3 cards were from the Hasbro Pulse charity set, which they released also the play mats, which sold out in like 2 minutes, and then the cards, which sold out after a few days.
Yes. A set of legendary creatures, all based around the main 6, and a few other special ones. So there's 2 releases by Secret Lair of MLP themed legendary creatures. There's the main 6, Nightmare Moon, and a special secret card. Extensive at release, and more so now, but we'll talk about some of these around that later. So let's take a look at some cards.
Here's Applejack.
Applejack.
Buy some apples.
Yep, everybody's favorite cameo star. She's fairly strong. She has a power toughness of 4 and 4, and her ability is also pretty great. She is really good at using your collection to generate more ponies. So, what she says is at the beginning of your end step, and we talked about the cleanup step, you put a toy that you own onto the battlefield as a 2/2 creature token with that toy's name.
Oh, we have the pony toys. Are they in the backpack? Yeah, give that to me, I'll get the pony toys out. You keep reading what Applejack does.
So, if the toy has wings, the token is flying. If it has a horn, you get scry too. And if it has neither, you create a food token, which can be used to give some life. So,
Does Tempest have a horn?
technically. So, she also has, as far as art's concerned, the incredible eyesight. So, if you wanted to use Applejack as your commander for Commander Deck, you'll definitely want cards that capitalize on enhancing small creatures, since she's just pumping those out. Or, her other ability to generate food tokens, especially with recent sets like Bloomburrow, which is very food themed. So you can either employ an army of dirt horses or abuse the easily attainable food tokens. She's also maybe a little bit horsist. So for a couple card examples, Gallic Readers benefits from having things entered. So if you have lots of toys that give you those 2/2 pony tokens, that's great. Or the Academy Manufacturer, whenever you would create one of those food tokens, you in fact get 3 tokens that can be used for a variety of things. So these are the kinds of cards you would be looking for. So next up we have Fluttershy.
Yeah.
Passive City Hour with an excellent defensive profile. We would call it Big Butt because she has a high toughness and no power. And her ability is unfortunately a little bit restrictive because what she does is she puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature that has a tail. So if you don't have a tail,
This is a tail.
that is a tail. If you're confused. So you really need to build around that. Luckily, in Magic, there's plenty of creatures that have tails. And something to point out is that she is green-white. So we talked about color identity earlier. Applejack is green-white because she has a green symbol, white symbol. Fluttershy is green-white, she has green and a white. So they could be in a commander deck together. Only one of them could be a commander, but they actually work really well together. So if you, for example, had a pony token that had a team, you could continually put +1/+1 counters on them using Fluttershy. And also, she has the ability to lock down your opponents by staring at their cards, which I'm sure will not be awkward at all. But also specifically, Bloomburrow, the set I mentioned earlier, which is a set themed entirely around small creatures, mice, squirrels, and all that. So it's really the greatest time ever to make a Fluttershy deck. Next up we have, these examples. So weirdly enough, Fluttershy benefits the most from several horses I found. For example, Bill the Pony from Lord of the Rings, another special cameo star. So when he comes in, he makes more food tokens, which can be used to assign So with Bill the Pony, in fact, you can sacrifice food made by Applejack to have Fluttershy kill people by using her giant butt to attack them instead. Or, for example, Crescent Sunmare just makes all of your horses indestructible. Seems like an easy one to do. Rarity, who is very sinister Marshmallow. Some rares and so her ability makes all of your rare and mythic cards cost less.
One less to cast.
Yes. And what I mean by this is their rarity. So how uncommon of cards they are. So if you have a large collection of some rare mythic cards to make a deck out of, they're really become broken the second they become costing 1 less.
And for those that don't know, on the side of the card where her little heart with the rainbow is, that is the symbol for the set, and the color it is determines the rarity. So black is common, silver is uncommon, gold is rare, orange
Mythic.
is mythic. Is it orange or is it
It's
like
orange.
a bronze? Bronze, orange is mythic, and so the golds and the oranges is the ones that she makes cost
Yes.
less.
And her ability protects other creatures.
Yeah.
Specifically
Reveal My Little
tied.
Pony toy.
Yes, you must reveal My Little Pony toy. So if you have a collection of Rainbow Dashes, it works out great. So specifically granting other creatures protection depending on the colors of the pony toy.
So you have like black, blue, and red with Tempest here.
So Rarity actually becomes a very powerful commander since once she's in play, you can protect your other incredibly powerful cards. So there are some really good options for things to protect. While she could not protect Eldrazi conscription, she could protect the creature that it attaches to, which would make it very powerful. Or you can have some kind of removal with Deputy of Detention that Rarity could protect and abuse your opponent's field. Rainbow Dash, the local Sky Menace, She is the first of these, which is all colors. You can see by the fact that she has every single mana symbol in her card decks.
And for people who don't know, when you play Commander, the colors on your card right here, the legendary creature, determine what colors you can have in your deck. So if your creature is only red, white, you can't have a blue card in your deck. It can only be the colors of your commander. But she also has the rainbow colors in her card description, which means you can have anything in there. You can build her basically however you want.
Yes, and she herself is very powerful. And being all colors means that she's incredibly abusable. Speed being key. She is highly aggressive, just like she is in the show. So, Rainbow, perhaps the highest skill ceiling, just because you can use any card in your collection. And she loves any sort of number of small creatures that have haste to build on her ability, which generates coolness. So, as it states, whenever a creature you control with flying and or haste attacks, you get 20% cool. Something like that.
Yes.
You start at 0%. And once you hit 100%, you can tap her using that little activated ability there to get yourself a bunch of extra mana and draw cards. So you can just go wild. Birds are very powerful for this, or you can just get a copy of this card called Anger, which makes everything you control have haste. Pinkie Pie, good lord, is perhaps the craziest out of all of these, simply because, one, whenever you play anything that has a smile in it, you get a treasure token, which is a one-time use mana. This is very, very incredibly powerful. And additionally, her other mechanic, your party consists of each creature you control, and your party is always full. And this refers to a mechanic that was introduced in a set called Zendikar, and which involved having lots of these little ally guys, and they all have to create a party together. And it was expanded upon in Dungeons and Dragons with clerics and warriors and wizards. But the thing about it is, a lot of them depend on you having one of each type. If your party is always full, they're always activated. So if you collect some of those cards, which are now pretty cheap comparatively to when they were first released, you can really capitalize on them. So for example, we have Archpriest of Iona, which would normally be like, it's just kind of powerful if you have a couple creatures, but with Pinkie out, suddenly it has power equal to all of your creatures, no matter who they are. And additionally, things like Stick Together, which say each player chooses a party from among creatures they control, then sacrifices the rest. Well, everybody's party, so all of your creatures get to live and everybody else gets to suffer.
It's pretty great. It makes the party mechanic actually useful.
Mm-hmm. So finally we have Twilight Sparkle, who is the princess of win conditions. Obviously, she works very well with all of her friends, seeing as she gives other Alicorns, horses, Pegasus, ponies, and unicorns.
And now you can actually play all the ponies that they released the other set. So her ability actually does something now.
Yes,
For the
right.
longest time it didn't do anything.
She was released in the first wave, and her other ability is saying you must control Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Raindash, Rarity, and then every pony wins. Could not actually be done. So luckily they released the other ones later on.
And if you're playing against non-bronies, they're not ponies, so you would win. They would lose.
Yeah, it's
Only
true.
every pony
They
would.
must accept being part of this, or else they all suffer. So Twilight, obviously beloved and exciting choice, who works well with all of her friends and the equine populace at large. However, having 5 very specific cards in the field at the same time and assuming nobody else is going to destroy them is pretty difficult to do. The one time you do it, though, is going to be awesome. And actually, she works really well inside of a Rainbow Dash deck, seeing as Rainbow Dash is all colors, and Twilight can just come out as a little hidden bonus thing and go bam. So, really, she's not actually the best choice as a commander of Rainbow Dash is. And second to last, we have Nightmare Moon, who is pretty cool. I mean, check out the art, it's pretty sick.
It's pretty good.
Yes. So she's very thematic, plenty of werewolves and their spooky creatures and sets like Innistrad to support her. And then you can call your friends any pony, see how they like it. So looking at her card, she's pretty strong. She is this real spooky creature. Having a 6/6 flying creature coming at you is already pretty scary. And specifically, her transformation ability might seem expensive, but since she is mono black has a lot of really cool tricks to spiking up your mana really quickly. She transforms into her other cuter self, depending on your opinion, And when she transforms, you get to pick any 6 cards you own from outside of the game, outside of your deck, and put them into your hand, as long as they have a moon somewhere in their art. And this might seem kind of hard to find, but Magic does love its moons and any night imagery, so there are some incredible examples of cards like Necromantic Selection, which has a moon right behind this horrifying creature, which says destroy everybody else's creatures and return one of your own. Or you can make a vampire deck, as we have a very important key vampire posing in front of yet another moon. And he will pump out more vampires, then he turns into a bigger vampire, which makes all your vampires bigger.
Basically,
So-
any vampire, werewolf,
Yes.
creepy thing will have a moon.
They have whole sets dedicated to moons. It's not difficult at all to find moons. And finally, our last card, Discord. So he was a secret card in the second set, and of course,
Spoilers.
he has to be difficult. So his ability is at the beginning of your end step, you choose a random non-land magic card from the history of Magic, and then you get to cast a copy of it if you can pay for it. So yes, so if you cast a spell this way, you copy it, and this ability just works out. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you pick a card at random from all of Magic, which is pretty difficult to do if you're just playing by paper Magic. However, there are plenty of tools made by other people for another format called Mimir, which used a similar ability. So it's actually a lot easier than you think. With a good phone app and perhaps a lot of little iPhones, you could still play him and have just the most chaotic time possible.
I really want to build a Discord deck because I just like random BS. So.
Really, the key suggestion I can have for anybody looking to build a Discord deck is some dry erase tokens. And specifically the markers you can smell, because I feel like everybody's going to have to sit around for a long time between turns.
So you might as well smell something pleasant instead of the horrible Sharpie smell.
Yes. So, what now? How do you find these cards if you want to use them?
Good
you
luck.
can go on eBay. Yes. You can go on eBay, which would be
Very expensive.
very prohibitively expensive. But I don't want to discourage you because capitalism is bad. There are plenty of ways to get these cards into your deck and even more. You can make proxies. You can print them, you can draw them, you can paint them. There are some thinner acrylics you can use to paint directly onto a card. Online, there are multiple web generators that can sometimes even have print services to print you your cards. And if Fortnite gets to do it, you can too, because they have a whole line of cards which just say they're one thing and are actually another card.
Yeah, like this isn't Battle Royale, it's Triumph of the Horde.
Yes. So if you really wanted to go out there and make a 100% pony deck, it is entirely possible and easy to do with an inkjet printer.
I mean, technically, since they're silver bordered, you can't legally play them anyway. It's just making sure your friends are okay with you playing them.
Yes. There's a small addendum because Wizards of the Coast put out a statement just last night regarding proxies.
Last night?
Yes.
Oh.
Just last night.
Fortuitous.
And their official statement is that they don't care, as long as it's not at an official tournament. So if
That's
it's,
fair.
your local game store might have their own rules, but if it's between you and your friends, proxy it up, make anything you want. It's your cardboard, it's your game. So,
All right. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
not even Magic related.
Yeah, anything. Yes.
Yes.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, doing
Yeah.
good. Vendor hall's been busy. I wish the elevators worked, but
I'm just nervous because this is my first panel that she told me.
it is. It's his first panel. He did a good. Everyone tell me he did good.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? Yes.
What are you currently running? Like, I assume you have some decks built that are.
Yeah, I have
Yes.
too many.
I have way too many too. The ones that I brought Slimefoot and Tiana. Those are like my two favorite commander decks. I just like Tiana's ability to get like, I imagine her just like flying the Weatherlight and just throwing like swords and stuff at people.
Yes,
It's
she
pretty
runs
great.
a whole deck surrounded, a whole deck centered on making knives and throwing them at
Yeah.
people.
And then Slimefoot is just me coping because Lumberknot can't be my commander.
For
What am
those who may
I?
not remember, Lumberknot is a tree that gets stronger than things die. And it also has expert, so you can't kill it. So it just gets bigger and bigger
He
and
just
bigger.
sits there eating. All right, and then what are your two decks you brought?
Of the too many decks that I have, I brought a Merfolk deck that everybody hates gates,
Yes.
specifically her.
I hate August.
And then a cowboy called Stella Lee, who she also hates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I should also have told late.
And you
Oh,
just
that's
brought her-
awesome.
She's great, I love her.
And then he also has a fun Zedru deck, which
Oh, no, I didn't bring them.
you didn't bring Zedru, but you do have a fun Zedru
Yes.
deck. Yeah, Zedru is great. And then I brought some of the Fallout cards,
I really wish somebody would make a Fallout Equestria. It could be
right?
done.
There's a lot of people that make fan Fallout Equestria cards, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right. Any other questions? Concerns? No.
Questions or concerns, complaints?
Well, after the vendor hall closes, we're going to eat food, and then we'll probably be up in the whatever the tabletop gaming room is, and we'll have magic cards. I know there's a few other people here that were wanting to play, so please feel free to bring your decks. We would love to play Commander and get salty at each other.
Absolutely.
And so we had a roommate that we would play with, and he just would get so salty. He would get on the phone, realize he was wrong about a rule, and just sit there like
Yes.
this.
Yeah. I know everybody here really already plays, but my advice for anybody who has a friend like that is just don't play with them.
Eventually, they'll learn to calm down.
Like, they'll learn to calm down, or they'll just learn they're not having fun anyways. 'Cause
It's
that's-
okay to have a little salt and Commander though, because what's a food without a little bit of seasoning? So. All right, well, if that's everything, you guys are good to go. Thank you for coming to our panel. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.